Hello, I'm David Hart, Executive Vice President at the Florida Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line. Today our special guest is Secretary of Florida Department of Transportation, Anath Prasad. Welcome, Secretary.
Good to be with you, David.
Secretary, you and the Governor have been tremendous partners to the Florida Chamber and the business community. And one of the exciting things that happened recently is the legislature passed and the Governor signed into law a record appropriation of $10.1 billion to fund investments in Florida's infrastructure. And I wonder if you could share with our guests, what does that mean for our economy? What does it mean for the long term for Florida?
Thanks. And, as you know, Governor Scott's been a tireless champion for infrastructure, and his commitment to infrastructure, specifically ports and airports, but our infrastructure in general. I always maintain access to good quality jobs, access to good quality life, access to good quality education, access to good quality healthcare. All happens because of good quality infrastructure. So this year I'm really excited. Back-to-back years, last year we fell short of the record budget by a few $100 million, but this year the $10.1 billion that the Governor signed is a record investment in transportation infrastructure. It has about $140 million for seaports, about $300 million for airports, over $3.2 billion for roads and bridges. Again, continues to provide the opportunities for businesses in the state of Florida to grow and for us to attract the kind of businesses that we want to attract to the state of Florida, so Floridians can have access to good quality jobs. Because at the end of the day, if Floridians are employed and are garnering good wages, they'll have enough money to invest in health care and invest in all the things that are necessary for good quality of life.
The Governor's support for Florida ports is well known and well documented. This year there was some attention given to our airports, and I wonder if you could take a little deeper dive on what's the opportunity in this year's budget or legislation that focuses on airports and how that may help position Florida better for trade and logistics and freight mobility.
Two things. 2011, we championed the Strategic Seaport Initiative. The whole purpose of that was to focus on strategic projects in seaports that gives us a high return on investment. So this year we championed a similar effort into a strategic airport initiative. We came across this as we were looking to a big cargo facility in Miami Airport, and they were in the process of either making a decision whether to stick at the Miami Airport or relocate to Panama, and then required us to be very nimble in making the investments to keep that cargo, one of the biggest cargo airline to Latin America, at the Miami Airport. So I'm excited to tell you that was in the transportation bill that was passed by the legislature that included the department to fund strategic airport projects up to 100%. The projects that really continues to build upon the state of Florida, and we're the #2 in aviation and aerospace industry, and this will continue to solidify that. It's important. Airports obviously get a lot of publicity from the standpoint of tourism. As you know, we're in another record year for tourism. I think by the end of this year we'll have 100 million visitors coming to our great state. About half of them come through our airports, and the other half drive down. So both of those are part of the portfolio, so to speak, for the Department of Transportation. The other big thing is Florida airports support $97 billion in economic activity. Huge. Think about the amount of jobs, amount of trade, the amount of stuff that we import, export that goes through Florida Airport. So I'm very excited that we're spending about over $300 million in this budget in our airports. Significant of that is focused towards expansion at Tampa Airport and the Orlando Airport, and both airports are going through a major capacity improvement, but a lot of it is, again, to go to support the MROs, the hangars, the airports, the tarmacs, to continue to to be a player. Our vision, the governor's vision has been the Florida would be the trade gateways to Americas, and I've always kind of said it's not when, but it's not if, it is when we will be. And our investment in airports and our seaports, along with the connectivity, our highway network and the rail network, will continue to make that goal achievable.
Well, with 19 major airports, 95 million visitors, another record number last year of tourists, it's exciting to see that play for Florida, and appreciate what you and the governor are doing there. One last area I want to ask you about is SunRail. Pretty exciting for Central Florida that SunRail's now in service, and I wonder if you could speak about the competitive advantage that gives us in Florida to have that kind of a public-private partnership underway to move passengers throughout the Central Florida area.
And we're excited about SunRail. SunRail is our second commuter rail in Florida. Tri-Rail, as most people know, runs between Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach. SunRail is in Central Florida. But SunRail is unique in the sense that the local communities went through a visioning plan. The Central Florida went through how shall we grow? And part of that was specific investment elements, whether it comes to education, when it comes to convention centers, when it comes to highway network, but also they determined that having a commuter rail system in Central Florida is much needed for them to envision the kind of dreams that they want to see. And so it really took a partnership both at the local level, the cities and the county and the state. The counties are actually contributing towards the capital of the project. And after 7 years of operation, the rail is going to be run by a Central Florida Rail Commission, which is comprised of all the funding partners, which is the counties and the cities. So it's a truly public-private partnership, and that's the kind of thing that we need. We cannot build our way out of congestion, but on the same token, for us to invest in mass transit, whether it's a commuter rail, light rail, or any sort of rail, it requires a lot of people to be part of that solution and not just look to the state to solve all problems. Because, you know, as you know, funding, even though we are embarking on a year with a record transportation budget, we have far more greater needs than what the funding can support. So it's important that everybody participates in it, because when the local communities participate financially in it, they have a vested interest for it to be successful. So when they give development approvals, when they look at zoning, land use, well, guess what? Now you have an added incentive because you're contributing to operating SunRail. You're now going to be focused on making sure doing everything that is productive to increase ridership rather than doing that is counterproductive.
Well, Secretary Prasad at the Florida Chamber, we want to thank you and your team for the leadership you provide and the partnership with us for investing in Florida's infrastructure, our ports, our rail, our roads. Appreciate your work very much. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line.